Yes.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Good. Okay. So we are page Vav. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shachol mi'ever b'oreis. He's bringing a lot of psukim. A lot of psukim in Divrei Chazal about that this concept of Prishus that we find it all over the place. He listed a whole bunch, and we have a few more to go here. That what it says about how Eov acted, Shusipra Oisa Alatzmai, that he recounted it about himself. Over Kinyonov. How he was Mazalzel. He, in Olam Hazeh and its acquisitions. And how he bound his senses with Kovel as Yodov as Lushaina, and he tied. It's more than tied, it's chained. His hand and his Loshan, from anything that has even a little bit of going against Hashem. How it shows emes, umatzos hashukim, how he would save those who are downtrodden, umetiv ladalim, and how he did good for the poor. So he of himself, like I guess, praises the way he was misnaig, and again being mizalz and oilam hazeh bekinyonav. Umasha Mesupa al Daniel, and what's told about Daniel Shemispal Elokim, that he would daven to Hashem, that he davened to Hashem al Arichos Hagol Shachar Korban Abayis. Daniel lived after the first Korban, and he davened Hashem about the length of the Golus. Then Vayimis Abalol, and he mourned. Kameshenema Lechem Chamudas Lo Yachalti, I didn't eat Ishmak bread. And therefore he merited that the Malach told him, these psukim, from that first day that you took to heart to understand and to, I guess, fast in front of Hashem, to Hashem, your words were heard. Etc. And I came to teach you, to give you to understand. It's what's going to happen to your nation at the end of times. And this is the best of the actions of Prushim, I guess, Tainus. Much also Anshe Ninveh. We move on to Anshe Ninveh. Anshe Ninveh weren't even Jewish. Big city. Yonah comes and says, you're going to be destroyed. Because Shoshama was Mahaboyer Gozal, and when they heard what Hashem decreed, Vayaminu Anshe Ninveh Belokim, they believed, and they all fasted. And similar what we found in the time of Haman. Wherever the decree of the king was heard, there was tremendous mourning, La Yehudim, and there was fasting and crying. And we find that all over the place. This anhaga of fasting and part of the tshuva. If you search for them, you're going to find them. Much of this type of Hamhoga, Prishus, in their words. And we find Shlomo HaMelech says in Mishlei, he quoted that already. Don't be from those who drink, and they fresh, they eat a lot of meat. Ma'at Sheina is another pasuk. Minimize your sleep. Ma'at Tanumais, Ma'at Chibuk, Yadayim Lishkab. Again, expressions of doing with less sleep. Don't give your power, your strength to the women. Al lamlochim lemoyel. Al lamalochim soyayin v'goyim. Perhaps you'll drink v'yishkach mekupa. You'll forget the laws. V'yishna din kol b'nei oinim. I don't know exactly translation of that. Uma shenemar. Kilo odom. Shetoiv lefonav. Nosan chachma v'das v'simcha. Shlomo Melech HaKolah says that for the person that finds favor in Hashem's eyes, He gave him wisdom, v'simcha, v'lachoita. But for the sinner, what did Hashem give? What does Hashem give the one who's sinning? No, it's an Inyan lesson for lichnas. He put in his mind that it's important to be busy with Olam Hazeh, to gather, to acquire. So you're seeing that that's the two sides. The one that finds favor in Hashem, his avodas and chokhmah and das and simcha, while the sinner is busy acquiring Olam Hazeh, va'oid. Leiv chachamim beveis Eivel. Shalom Melech says the wise, their hearts are in the base Eivel, the message, the tremendous message there is in a base Ovel. Right? Tremendous message. What life's all about. You could have spent your whole life gathering and making money. When it's over, you don't take it with you. As it says also in Kel, it's preferable to go to a base Eivel than a base Mishnah, to a wedding, because there's tremendous reality check. In a base Eivel, there's a tremendous reality check. But I guess I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud now. We go to be Menachem somebody, Menachem Eivel, and we have a mitzvah, be Menachem them. But we have an avodah for ourselves. That's what Shlomo Melech is telling us. The base Eivel, you go to a funeral, you go to a base Eivel. There's a message for us. Besides the covered, we're giving the niftar. Besides the nachama, we're giving the people who are sitting shiva, who are at the loss. We're also meant to get a message, an awakening, a tap on the shoulder that you don't live forever, and there's something later. And use your time in a good way. Yeah, heavy stuff, important stuff. Plus, we only have a certain amount of years, and then too late, as they say. Void. Shlomo Melech says in Chaos, Mutuka shnas ha'oivei, imatrim harbe, yoichal, v'asov ha'osher, inenu maniach lo yidishrei. I don't know what that means. Yaldus v'ashachos hovel, v'oidnem Hashem seif davar. The closing, the summary, closing pasuk, the summary of the whole Kelis. Akol nishma, we've heard it all, we've gone through everything. I said, Kim Yurei. What do we come out with? What's the message? Tafir HaKadosh Baruch Hu, bes mitzvahs of shmor, keep his mitzvahs, gizeh kol adam. That's what it's all about. V'ilu, he says, Ma'amori Rabbi Seinu Zal, oides ha-Prishus himsayim b'Mishnah b'Tam. This was all psukim. Everything he quoted today and yesterday that we quoted were all psukim in Tanakh. He says, if you're going to go look now in the Mishnayos and the Gemara, there are so many of them. We wouldn't be able to bring them all down here. Now it's time learning Pirkei Avos. You find a lot of that there. The last parak. It's really not Pirkei Avos. It's a brisa. It's not a Mishnah. But the last parak Vav, it says there, Kachi Darka Shel Torah. This is the way of the Torah. Pasmel Toichal, Umayim Bamashura Tishta, Valoritz Tishon. It says there further in another brisa there, HaTorah Niknes Ba'aboyim Ushmoyne Tvarim. The Torah is acquired through 48 things, and some of them are Miyut Schayra, minimizing your business, Miyut Derech Eretz, Miyut Tainog, minimizing your pleasures, Miyut Sheina, doing less sleep, Miyut Sicha, minimizing just thing I guess, Miyut Choik, So you see it all over the concept, and there it's talking especially explicitly. Right? It's not about tshuva there. It's talking about being kohen Torah, and the list is pretty long there about Prishus. And again, we keep on saying it because it's it's such a obvious thing. If you're involved in something else, you're not involved in Torah. We don't do two things at one time. And if our goals and our aspirations are olam hazeh, so our aspirations are not olam haba. Can't do both. They don't go together. Third parak of Gemara Tainis, Timsel Uvdois Marabi Seinu Zal. You see stories of our Rabbonim Zal. Hamaris is Prishos that describe their Prishus Hagdoim Olam Hazeh. Misha Choyke Binyan as anyone who studies this topic. Yimtza Isa B'Torah Shebiksav or B'Torah Shabal Peh. V'Yavin Isa Eidei HaSeichel. And like we're saying, it's logical. You understand it if you give it thought. So give thought to it. Focus on these thoughts. You'll acquire it, you'll understand it. You search for the Torah, for the emes, like silver, like hidden treasures. Then you'll be able to understand Yeres Hashem v'das alikim timsa. Yeah, that's Perik Vav, and then Perik Zayin. Okay, he says an introduction now. He says being that Prishus is a fence. It's a tool to protect ourselves from our Yetzer and the Taivas. So I make fences. I'm purged from it. I don't allow myself to be involved in these things. That way I protect myself. So he says, therefore, if you find that Yetzer Hara is stronger, so some people say, I can't. Right? I can't, it's too strong. So he's saying it, we'll see it in the Chovos haLevavos itself. So that person, in other words, it's a subjective thing, that person, or maybe in that aspect of that person, he has to have greater Prishus. He has to make stronger Prishus. So he could fight off the Yetzer Hara. So he says now in the Sefer. That was just a little introduction. He says, I'm going to explain now the difference between our Kadmenenu, our earlier generations, and us when it comes to Prishus. HaKadmenim, and he's going way back, going Chanoich. Noach was before Noach. Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Iyyar, V'Chaverav, Iyyar and his friends. Their minds were very clear, and the Yetzer was weaker. And their nefesh was drawn towards their seichel. We came into since the hearts were trustworthy to Hashem, they were faithful. Famous pasuk, we say it every morning. Hashem found Avram's heart faithful to him, and he's speaking about mitzvahs. So that's why they didn't need a lot of mitzvahs. They didn't need the help of the mitzvahs because they were naturally, it seems, they were closer to Hashem. I mean, Maisa, they were closer to Hashem physically also, to the creation. It was later. And they didn't need to do more Prishus than the middle line that the Torah tells us. The Torah gives us mitzvahs that keep us away from a lot of the world. We're here with Torah Prishus that we do on the Torah. But Lamaisa, the Torah is full. All the Loisa says are precious, really. All the things we're not supposed to do are all precious from this world. Don't do this. This relationship is wrong. This fruit you can't eat. Right? This you can't drink. They didn't need more than that. With that features, they were able to serve Hashem b'shleimut. But when their children went down to Mitzrayim, and for the first 70 years that Yosef was alive, they were there at peace. So their taivas became very strong. And the desires were very big. And at that point, the Yitzhahara was stronger than their intellect. What they knew was right. The Yitzhahara was stronger. And Nasus Kukim, the preachers of so it became necessary for them to do stronger preachers. They had to go parallel to what their taivas were. They had to do preachers to the other direction, so that they could face their Yetzer. And therefore, Akash Baruch Hu gave them mitzvahs that are decrees. That the seichel doesn't necessarily, we don't understand, like a chok. Yafi midas yechol tom upachos mimena. To the extent that they were able to do it, it shouldn't be too much. In other words, he's saying an interesting thing. He's saying, as long as the person's seichel was strong enough, then they don't need to do extra precious, because their seichel was enough in control to fight the Yitzhahara. But when the taivas got bigger, and the Yitzhah got stronger, and it basically was overpowering the seichel, so now the seichel stopped functioning really as a tool. So that required more mitzvahs, or more precious, so that they could deal with their Yitzhah. You know, what I'm hearing is an interesting thing. Generally, we look at the tzaddikim who do precious, right? That's what tzaddikim. But it sounds, what he's saying here is that, if anything, it's more necessary for us. For us who have, we're normal people, so to speak, and we have all kind of taivas and all kind of desires, and it's very hard for us to fight them. We're the ones who need to do more precious. The tzaddik is already there. He can live in this world because he has it right. He has it right. He doesn't have to go so far away from the world. But us, we're so low, and we're so, the Yitzhar is all over us. We're the ones, it sounds like we have to do more precious than they do. Because Kovshu is Eretz Canaan Nichlusubai, it is, he says, when Kaisel came to Eretz Canaan and they conquered it, this Angu Mituva, and they started enjoying the plenty. There was a lot of plenty. And they started getting into the luxuries, wanting more than they need, having more foods, better foods, noshim abatim, women and homes, right? Like America. And the more they were there in Eretz Yisrael, and they were building themselves up, so their seichel was being destroyed more and more. They were not following their seichel. They were being overcome by their desires. As Hashem says in the Chumash, Pentoichal, perhaps you'll eat for Savota and you'll be full and you're satiated, and you'll build beautiful homes, you'll have a lot of cattle, and you'll have a lot of money. And everything you have, you'll have a lot of. What's going to happen? You'll become arrogant. You'll forget HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says that's the way it happens. And the more that their taivas became greater. Their minds got weaker. They were under the control of their taivas, right? Everybody has taivas, and everybody has a mind. Our avoid is that our mind should control our taivas. But if our taivas control our minds, so then our minds are weak. And we can't follow what our mind is telling us. The message doesn't go. We all know we're faced with a taiva, and in our heads we know we shouldn't be doing it. But we can't seem to have control even on the most basic things. I shouldn't be eating this food. I know it's really not good for me. I shouldn't be smoking.
Can I share?
Yeah.
I've always wondered about this. Why do we have to go through this? Why do we have to do all these things? But the Olam HaEmes is Leolam Void, and it's non-corporeal. And if you're just being led like a horse, on the reins, you're not going to have any shaykhs to Olam Haba. You have to get mind over matter because that's all you're going to have. And if you're just, I'm hungry, I got to eat. I'm tired, I got to sleep. Or I'm sleeping because I need to wake up and have energy, or I'm eating to have energy. Like, who's in control? Is your Yetzer in control? Then you're a ferd, You're just an animal. And an animal can't survive in Olam HaEmes L'Olam Va'ed. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, absolutely, right. Absolutely beautiful. Beautiful. Right.
That's what we're learning to do. That's what we're preparing for. That's why we have to go through this. You train a horse, right? We have to train our horse.
Have to train our horses. Right. And that's what Prishus does. And that's what he's developing here, the thought that the more you have taivas, the more you need Prishus. If you're already, like you're saying, the office, their intellects were beyond our understanding. So they were able to do the middle. They didn't have to go to an extreme Prishus. Because their physical side wasn't ruling them. They didn't need to accomplish that, but he's saying, but our generations, and he's bringing the pasuk that you see when you get into the physical, and that becomes like you're saying, you become a smart horse. The horse never realized you could cook the grass and make it taste better. And I would say,
you're going to get upstairs and there's no Netflix, there's no TV. What are you going to do with all that time? You're going to go out of your mind.
Yeah. Right. So we need to battle that by taking big steps away from it.
Are you saying you have to be an ascetic?
You don't have to be aesthetic, but if you see you have a weakness in a certain thing, so yeah, you have to build yourself your fences, and the fences in this case is to do without.
The Hasidic view would be, I think, to transform the physical into the spiritual. Not that you have to avoid everything completely.
I think everyone agrees to that. But what happens if I can't do it? How do I get, if the physical is too powerful? So then I have to say, well, so I can't have that. I can't have, look, we have, you're talking about Hasidic, we can talk about Slobodka, right? Godless Adam, what were they saying? They were saying, appreciate how great you are, appreciate your seichel, appreciate what you could be. Why are you doing that? Why are you acting like an animal? Don't define yourself. Define yourself with greatness and don't allow that. Well, different type of measures to fight this. The more their types become greater and stronger, and we're in that watch, we want to stop. Everybody goes through that. I know I shouldn't be doing this. I know I shouldn't be doing. I know I shouldn't be. Listen, we don't have to talk about big types. I can talk about myself being on a diet. I know I shouldn't be eating this. I look, I say, I know I should, and I eat it. Why do I eat it? It's like I almost did on Bechira. It's like I'm looking at it, my mind is saying no, but my body doesn't stay. You know what I mean?
Try Ozempic.
What's that?
Try Ozempic. It's the new shot that kills your appetite.
Okay. When I was really sick, that a few years ago, Pesach, I had no appetite. I didn't eat. But so the stronger it becomes, so your mind, the koich of your mind becomes weaker. It doesn't control you anymore. You know, they say that Esav's head, is buried in Mars because his head had all the knowledge. His head was great, but it didn't control his body, so his body couldn't be there. And it becomes weaker to give the right advice, which is really for your benefit. It stops being, in Hebrew, a mandom. It doesn't have much to say. So those people, if they really want to do the battle and they want to win, they have to say, woman, I have to really go to the other extreme and do without until I can rein in that taiva, until I get it into control. They should be able to face their taivas. Like the Nosir, Visnagus Bnei Hanavim, and the way the Navim acted. Now they were shooting for the stars, the Bnei Hanavim, right? They wanted this ultimate connection, the Nevuah. So she's kind of a perka koidim. Okay, we'll stop here. Mo, I don't know. You have to save it somehow, and I don't know what you do. You send it to what's his name? I leave it in your lap. Something over, it should say, recording over. I don't know.
Oh, Dr.
Simcha,
Boldash.
maybe you can help him.
I don't know if it's. I think it might be a lost cause.